Hello, and welcome to Isn't It Obvious? I'm your host, Micah, with Phil and Sera, and my topic today is a nice, light, easy one. All social media should be banned.
Whoa. Jeez.
I was expecting
I'm
something
kidding.
heavier.
I have a different caveat. They should be banned, or at least have a 5-year moratorium on it, whilst we totally rewrite all U.S. law. Starting from, we have the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the analogs of the 10th Amendment that gave, or not, the 10 Commandments that gave us our basis of society.
No, get rid of those.
No, because like murder, stealing, those things.
They don't have to be. No, they don't have to be. No, don't covet your neighbor's wife bullshit. No, get that fucking religious bullshit out of my constitutional
Most laws
rights.
have those, or most organized laws have some type of analog to those type of things. It's a good basis for society to function.
I mean, it's a good rule of thumb not to fuck around with your neighbor who is married.
But coveting that...
Unless they're in an open relationship and that has been made clear by both partners. Yeah, but I don't think that needs to be in law. I think that's just a...
Well, it's a vice crime. That's up to the states
It's
to
not
decide,
a crime.
but...
It's not a fucking crime.
Yes, it's a civil crime.
It's not a crime.
Yes.
Unless
Me and
there's
my
rape.
wife
No.
have a contractual obligation that we are going to be... Yes.
No,
we are.
you-
Yeah, that's what the vows are. We tied our money together. No. It is a societal contract that we are one unit. And if either of us
For tax
deviate
purposes,
out of that, then I have been wronged by society.
Consenting adults can...
Yeah, I did not consent to have my wife cheat on me. And clearly she
There's
is
a
my
difference.
property.
There's a difference between, first of all...
We are in Texas, right? I mean, that shit flies here.
First of all, partners are not property. They are an equal
You're right.
partner.
Children are property.
That's true.
I just needed you to agree, that's all.
No, children are not property, especially when they're 13 and you're not allowed to, parents are no longer allowed to look at you.
Only 4 states outlaw child marriages, marrying someone who's under the age.
Yeah, we should absolutely...
Minnesota's one of them.
Gross.
We needed that, though.
We should
Utah?
absolutely...
Not one of them.
They do need that, for sure.
Yeah, gross. I think we should outlaw, child marriage. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Well, just to throw gasoline into the fire here, it is illegal to commit adultery. That is against the law in some states.
Yes, but it is not a punishable crime. You cannot go to jail for that. The state cannot punish you, but the...
civil, you can...
Yes, you can have it be a civil
court.
case. Yeah, which is the bullshit that Texas went through with their abortion bill.
Yeah.
Which the state's not enforcing it. People.
Yeah.
They're the ones enforcing
citizen deputized or deputy
yeah, but
citizen.
Isn't that still the state giving the authority to people to execute crime?
The closest, I guess, relationship people can think of in law that was practiced this way would be fugitive runaways, where they would have like a bounty system for citizens to deputize themselves to chase after
the origin of the
who...
police to catch runaway slaves.
Right. This is actually kind of where they came up with this idea. Not maybe they didn't come up with this idea this way, but this is one of the things that law scholars immediately thought of when people are like, deputize civil. Oh no.
This
We
ain't
did this
gonna end
before.
well.
But yeah, there are some states that would criminalize, I would say criminalize, but yeah, it's kind of like a civil a penalty of some kind.
Yeah.
But also it
falls under like vice crimes.
It's also marks against you if you're in your divorce, because in Minnesota there's like a no-fault divorce. You don't need to have a reason. You can just say, you know what, this isn't working.
Yep, we're not doing it.
Cool. And that kind of makes sense. I say kind of because I'm not really sure what the point of marriage is, but that's a different story.
The point of marriage is an archaic way of owning a person.
I think it's also like to make an archaic way of like dividing your inheritance, so it's clearly known which legitimate spawnling is gonna get your 5 cows and 2 acres.
Also true, it also divides property work.
Mm-hmm.
House versus outdoor farming, whatever.
And also reduces the net income needed in a household because you got rid of that damn freeloading daughter.
Depends if women are allowed to work or not. But like if we're talking about way back in the day when women weren't really working unless they were
the 1950s, yeah.
Unless they were what I think it was like spinsters is what they called them. It was like literally like a term for women who were unmarried, single, without children.
Oh, it was worse than that.
And they were allowed to, only those women were allowed to own property or have a job.
Yeah, I mean, the job.
And it was out of necessity because they...
The jobs that they had was
live
really
otherwise.
Kind of funny because, you know, like the Hubble telescope, the astronomer Hubble.
Yeah, you know, those astronomers.
the assistants who found like redshifting and noticing that we're all expanding further away, it kind of gave Dr. Hubble his kind of like claim to fame. Like that wasn't him. It was all his lady assistants. That the best they could be are just lady assistants.
Well, I mean, that's what got us to the moon.
You artificially create this terrible ceiling, and you're like, the best you could be is this. So they were really good at it, and that's as far as they can get. But they're able to make all these great discoveries. Like, one of the things that people have looked at is like the 1920s version of like school tests, and then like what is what is the pentameter or whatever in a poem, and can you conjugate this correctly in Latin and stuff? And people are like, haha, look, kids in 2020 couldn't answer these questions in 1920, and
because kids in 2020 don't need to know it for Catholic Mass.
Yeah, pretty much.
The two things about it is like, well,
fuck, he knows Latin. Run away.
Right. I mean, it's like, okay, it's kind of funny where like what we need to know is
yeah, but
very
think
different.
about the things they don't know that we know now. We've just replaced them with different knowledge.
Yeah,
Right.
like how
That is actually
vaccinations work and how viruses work.
What's RNA
Some
again?
kids are learning this. Like it's actually sinking into their heads. The parents, on the other hand, might be telling them otherwise.
Age of consent.
Well, I was gonna say that like the weird part is that the teachers, like, that's one of the only few professions that women could have went into that was acceptable.
No, teaching, nursing.
Not principals, not headmaster, just teachers, and not doctors, not like the
just nursing.
CEO, just nursing.
Yeah.
And you had a very strange
Secretaries.
situation where you have a lot of top talent that is just forced to be in these things because they couldn't branch out.
Oh.
And I just find that to be very silly. But to your question about the moratorium, like, this is social media. Like,
No,
what
but
we're
it's-
doing right now is social media.
Well, no.
Are you telling us we have to ban ourselves?
We have to ban
No.
ourselves.
In terms
It's obvious.
of because this is not an instant response format. We are making a product that is to be consumed in the hour or on my topics, or half hour, but on my topics, the 90 minutes that we end up talking.
The editor.
you do wonders.
Editor's crying.
It's back to 30 somehow.
The editor's crying.
We love you, editor.
Shake
Micah,
in there.
damn it. But in terms of the instant responses, and since I've unilaterally said we've heave-ho that moratorium,
Yeah.
Ted Cruz, the guy who keeps on winning.
Yeah.
The guy who keeps on running from his
Guy who-
responsibilities.
And wins.
Yeah.
How do you
Somehow.
become a
God,
winner
such
by
a weasel.
losing?
It's
the guy.
It's how
Such a
Republicans work.
Well,
They just are bold-faced hypocrites.
Yeah, they rely on the apathy and attention span of the people
Yep.
that they serve.
And speaking of attention
Serve
span,
in quotes.
This happened earlier. I saw it trending on Twitter where Patton Oswalt, comedian, canceled dates in Florida and another state that weren't going to enforce a mask or vaccine mandate for the club, which seems reasonable as a professional comedian that is usually in small, poorly ventilated venues.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Patton Oswalt might actually get theater
Even so,
spaces, but that's still a small space in which a lot of people are exhaling. And
I
Ted
wouldn't want my
Cruz
fans to
had to clap back the only way Ted Cruz can. Oh, all two of his fans are going to be so disappointed. Where he could have just done a click.
even I've
And-
heard of this person,
and a
I don't
click.
know anybody.
And
Yeah.
see that Patton Oswalt has 4.5 million followers.
Yeah, what a gross human.
First
Well,
of all,
human
he's the
in quotes.
voice of Ratatouille.
No, I guess I can't
I mean, that's
say.
just amazing. That's one of Disney Pixar's better movies.
It
let's
is.
face it. And second of all, why is Ted Cruz doing this to himself? Like, I just...
Because
He's an idiot who's
no
he's a
publicity is
narcissist
bad
who doesn't-
publicity.
I suppose that's true.
And that's
right?
all it is. As long as he's
In the
making a name for himself, he can say whatever lie he wants to. This infrastructure bill goes through, and the American economy just pedal to the metal because a bunch of people that aren't going back to their $7 jobs are now given like a $22 federal job
Yeah,
and shit like that. He's gonna be like, hey, I was fighting for this. I tried to tamp down on what those commie Democrats were trying to put in there, but I did what I could, and now the people of Texas, all three of you, because everyone else left. Thanks, Jim.
Actually, a
Bob
lot of people are
and Bob
weirdly
Jim.
moving to Texas for some reason I can't fathom.
Income tax.
Oh,
They don't tax income.
then they should just move to. Oh wait, South Dakota's pretty gross as well. Never mind.
I think South Dakota also
worse.
has no.
That's what I'm
income.
saying.
Yeah.
It's like they should move to South Dakota then.
It's kind of a Republican hallmark. Republican states because they don't tax income. Because the sales tax is the true tax because capitalism.
Sales tax is hilarious because the same people who are making pennies still have to pay the same amount of money for milk essentials that these...
I, a millionaire, spend a fraction of a percentage on milk. You, a minimum wage worker, use a substantial percentage of your weekly income on basic necessities to live.
Yeah.
Capitalism is gross and it sucks, and it will... it has led to the decline of our environment.
Oh yeah, that's just one of the things that I read online. I don't know if this is true because it's Reddit, so my apologies. When East
Reddit,
Germany,
we're sorry.
Reddit, we're sorry.
I'm not.
But the thread was like how there's this East German company who's making light bulbs. And okay, first of all, East German companies are not known for their engineering prowess. Like the Trabi car comes to mind. But anyway,
their production was through the roof, though.
Oh yeah, sure.
Whatever they made a lot of them.
Whatever they made, you had to... Okay, anyway. Let's just keep moving here. So, this East German company made a light bulb that lasted too long. So when the West Germans took over, eventually, they shuttered... Like, they bought it out, and they just told them to stop. Your light bulb production is terrible. You're making something that's too good.
No.
And I just... well, that's capitalism, right? Like
that.
It is, though.
Former comrades, what are you using in those bulbs? We are using halogen? Was?
Yeah, it lasts like 40 years. Yeah. Wait.
No, we're done. Shut it down.
Shut it down. We can't afford
We
to
have filament
make...
bulbs that last like 4 hours. We're just going to produce a bunch of those.
No. 4 days. We'll make it, acceptable.
40 Jahren? 9. Viertagen. I feel like there is a problem with
Viertagen? Slap.
I feel like
sorry, geslappen.
Ach, Tom, schnell. I know all my German from terrible World War II films and my poor German teacher.
I do have this slight caveat with German is a beautiful language if you have a college level ability to speak it. It sounds fluent, it sounds great, it sounds amazing. Angela Merkel and the speeches she gives is just like, oh, this is such a nice... yeah, no, it's still pretty.
It's good. I feel like...
But on the other hand, Nazis.
I've sang a couple of very pretty German songs in my voice class. Mm-hmm. That was...
Oh, Mozart made some fabulous operas in German.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean...
I can't remember the...
Is he really German? I think he's more...
He's Austrian.
Yeah.
But they speak... Austrian is the Canadian dialect of English.
I feel like Austrian is like the Irish of Germany. Like, they wouldn't like being called, German, but they're basically...
Well, they're the Habsburgs, it's fine, they're different.
But I agree with you that...
it's New Zealand, Australia.
Yeah, Canada, America. South Korea, Japan.
Australia?
Canada, Australia. New Zealand, Australia.
You gotta stick within the Commonwealth, right?
Well, Australians, you seem like a contentious bunch.
I'm sorry, so what was the topic? Topic was...
We need... laws should be rewritten. Like, we should start from a ground level and, go local committee base and reestablish our law codes. Because I feel our law codes, one, are incomprehensible to anyone who isn't a lawyer. Because they were made that way intentionally for poor reasons. And two, to eliminate redundancies as well as, anachronistic laws? And, laws that applied in 1820 that are still on the books, even though horse theft shouldn't be a capital crime.
Yeah, but back then it definitely...
Back then, because horses were so expensive and necessary to your livelihood, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But we have cars today that are more expensive.
That are not...
And more important.
And no one cares when someone steals.
And no one gives a shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
What
Turns
is that?
out.
Grand Theft Auto? You get like 3 months.
Whatever.
Did you? Was the baby in the car? Yeah. Wait, did you leave the car to steal another car? Yeah. 6 months.
6 months. Standard 6. Next.
Wait, sorry. You were really nice walking out of my courtroom for good behavior. You're just back on the street.
To be fair with that, I mean,
here's a car
at least with, God damn it.
No, this one has the baby in it.
God damn it. Haven't you learned anything? Slap on the wrist for you, pal.
Yeah, the family apparently was going through a really bad divorce, and they were like, the kid can just go free.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay. He's probably going to have a better life. Oh, right.
Fast forward 20 years.
The horse, though.
Come on, Peacemaker. I'll show you what to really do.
You steal a horse. The horse might take exception to that. Like the horse has an opinion as well, and it's a living creature.
How many dogs have you stolen? They're really easy to de-stress, and then they just like you. It's an animal. It's
not
fine.
True.
I could take both of your cats, and they'll be just.
I hope you enjoy. I hope you enjoy vomit and upset leaving.
I didn't say there wouldn't be difficulties.
And you're in
I'm
your
just saying, given time.
But I'm saying that a horse is a living creature, whereas a car is not a living thing. So it's not.
What about Transformers? Are they not living
Isn't
things?
it obvious that Transformers are not actually living things, but
no,
artificial
there are
intelligence?
5 documentaries about it. How they got Shia LaBeouf and Mark Wahlberg to act be the main vehicle.
Nice.
That was the extent of where I was going with that joke.
Anyway.
I just keep mentioning Megan Fox and everyone's like, you're an asshole. But I'm like, look, I think that Transformers is not really a life form because they have to use the Allspark. Right? So if you had to use an Allspark to give you I don't think
the
alive.
Transformers, by their own mythos, were humanoids that started grafting metal upon themselves. And the Allspark was a way for them to attune more metal.
Ghost in the Shell. I got it. All right.
Okay. I really like this episode of Ghost in the Shell where they didn't think... Okay, anyway, I'm not going to go there. But
did it have a touch count? Better have a touch count.
At the end
of the best episodes.
Okay, in this episode of Ghost in the Shell...
No, it has to be a focus. You can't have a little end caveat of comic relief of kind of thing.
No, this is a serious... This is Cartoon Network. I was watching this. I was in college. It was Ghost in the Shell. I didn't really... Anyway, the end of this episode, the girl is an AI, right? And so it doesn't have any free will, and no one thinks that she's alive. The guy is kind of this overweight, chubby Asian guy. I felt like I really related to this person, and he's the bad guy.
Oh,
and
I made a different connection with Paranoia Agent, but yeah, go on.
They all, he's trying to drive away, and eventually the cops corner him in the highway. He has to get out, and then they're going to shoot him because he wasn't complying. The robot android chick, says these rehearsed lines to kind of get him out because it was very similar to this movie. And, I guess she's in this kind of fictional movie, and then they made an android out of her. And so she says these lines to calm him down, but it wasn't working, and then she says this last line, and then it worked, and then he was whisked away. And the detective is like, oh, see, this is kind of funny. This person is just a lunatic because he's listening to this android and thinks this android's actually, has artificial intelligence. And then the other detective is like, oh, you should watch that film. And then watching the film, they realized that the android added an extra line at the end, so it was like, actually, this is a real... I was like, wow, that's cute. And that's all I thought about. So really, androids don't really have life. Neither do Transformers, so they should not be included in the list of laws because they don't really have...
I read an obituary constructed by a rough AI, and let me tell you, Jeanette died of too many years.
I mean, that's fair. That's not a wrong assessment.
Nothing in there was inaccurate.
I take it back, though. I think it's pretty obvious that Transformers are, in fact, living.
Yes,
fictional.
They're spawns of Satan.
They're fictional, but living, they would be considered a people with free will-ish. Well, free will. I mean, as far as free will is free will.
Sentience is meant to be creativity,
sentience,
right?
that's the word.
Yeah, sentience is creativity. It's not necessarily free will. We're slaves to our needs.
Yeah, we're all machines.
Wants and desires.
We're just
because
flesh
that's
machines.
How life works. Yeah.
Meat puppets.
Oh,
what was it in Chernobyl?
That are just talking in a room.
Meat machines?
To eat. Gross.
So gross.
Editor, please
Cut
remove
that out.
that from existence.
I think everyone threw up in their mouth.
Bill!
Sorry. I apologize. I didn't mean to do
Warning! If you're gonna make weird fleshy noises.
that. I know, I don't know what's wrong with me, guys. I'm sorry.
Because there were 2 responses. 1, almost throwing up, which is what I did. Or 2, trying to trump you with a grosser noise.
I know, but...
That's very tempting.
That's a world war I don't want to start.
I'm so
I'll
sorry.
let Belgium fall.
That is an audio war we do not need.
Yeah, I apologize.
I don't know. There's a hallmark of podcasts and just weird noises.
The
for
ASMR?
callbacks. So
that.
I don't think they're...
Anyway, we have an issue with laws being just way too weird and amorphous, and we don't have a proper education of it, as well as the redundancies and stupid laws, Texas, for multiple. We really kind of need a reset. Jefferson thought that every 20 years, every generation of people, they should basically rewrite the Constitution so it fits with the time.
Did he think that, or are you just pulling that out of your ass?
No, he did. I
Did he?
heard.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I haven't heard this, so it could just be a made-up thing.
It was something in the
I can't
Continental
Google it
Congress.
because we have a rule against Googling this.
Yes.
Okay.
No Googling.
But it was-
I will just say, for the sake of argument, perhaps he said this.
Right.
Okay.
Jefferson was a real big believer in every generation should have their own
Yeah.
stake in the society they live in. They didn't
If
want
only people cared.
People do care.
Well,
I
it
mean,
was...
But enough to, be involved.
But I can understand at his time in
To vote.
the 1700s, the idea of civilian interaction with the government was so alien to how every other country runs.
Yeah.
You're coming from a monarchy, which is this
Top
whole
down.
hierarchy of family. And that's all it is. There's no merit involved. There's nothing. And if you weren't part of those families and you didn't
You had no
set
right.
yourself out to be knighted by them, which they will work just as easily to knight you as to slit your throat because you were growing too tall as a grass and you got to keep it short. Plus they used ice back then, so far more dramatic.
Yeah.
But it was so alien that you needed these educated Englishmen to create a government that wasn't a monarchy. And they had high ideals, like African Americans being three-fifths of a person.
High ideals, sure.
Yeah.
The
You
children
really gotta-
were also slaves. How convenient.
And women were not people.
Oh no.
Not really.
Not till 1920.
Yep.
Yeah.
And even after that, it was still hit or miss.
Yeah, we weren't even 3/5 of a person, really.
Now you're just human meat factories in 2020.
Yeah,
so that's kind
pretty
of
much.
good.
You
Just
are host
incubators.
bodies.
Yeah.
We were just incubators.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, host
With-
body, which
with a-
that was said by a Texas state representative. Host body.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
I'm not gonna make that noise again out of my mouth, but I will say that.
It's not a wonder to me. It's not a wonder to me why a lot of women are choosing to be single and living on their own right now.
Yeah.
It's just not a big.
And starting time later, but as the BBC would say, what are these women gonna do when they want to have a kid?
Hilarious. Not have children. Or go find a donor.
Another fun tweet was like, hey, since Texas outlawed abortion, there are about 4,000 kids in foster care that could really use a home. I'm guessing you guys are going to jump all over that, right? Wait, where are you? What? No, that's the...
Although I will say it's not just men who think this new stupid abortion law is a good thing. A lot of women in Texas, too, are supporting this for some stupid reason.
Because it won't affect them.
True. It's because
That's
all...
all it is.
Yeah, true. It's because they're all too old for
I-
that worry.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of concerned that we're not getting... If you want to rewrite laws, I think it'll just be written worse. I'm not trying to be cynical. It's just... The people...
that's
I
why
think
the
that's...
ban
No, I
is
don't
so-
think that's cynical. I think
No,
that's
it's
realistic.
accurate. It's very
No,
accurate.
the people who want to write the laws right now, the law
But
I would like to
That
have.
is not who we have rewrite the law. We started at the city level. Then those are passed up to the county level. Those are passed up to the state level. Those are passed up to the federal level, as opposed to federal raining down.
Yeah, I remember there was this discussion about
Like that.
two zones of influence. You have the federal level and the state, and then the state has to fight amongst themselves for county versus city. And in my opinion, the only people you only need such a small fraction of people leading a county to really fuck up that county.
Oh yeah.
And I think the same goes for the city level, something smaller, also at the regional level. Yeah, these laws that are. Geez, I think that the answer was how many laws are there right now that you are beholden to in the U.S.? Well, from your small little city to your county to your region to the state to then the federal level, there's thousands that you have to follow and obey.
But there's a lot of overlap between federal laws and state laws.
Yeah, but there are some really weird ones. If you want to have your
But
own
it's a matter of
business,
jurisdiction, right? So you're saying it goes from the smaller levels, whether it's city or county, that's a jurisdictional question?
It's jurisdiction and enforcement, which is why I feel like it's just... I don't disagree that if it was up to me to say, okay, I want to write laws that are more representative of how we live, I don't even know where to begin. We don't live in a... The people who are running the show and writing these laws, they're God, 70, 80 years old, right? They're really old people. They don't know how internet works. I think
the ones that have been there for... I don't know if a septuagenarian is a freshman representative. But the ones who have the power, who lead the parties, have been there for decades. And that's an issue.
It's an issue. So it's like, okay, this is why I'm getting kind of like cynical. It's that, let's say that we rewrite the laws and you write it from the bottom up. Well, I mean, that's kind of how the government started and wanted to start after the Revolutionary War. The states still wanted to have control because they didn't like a one-size-fits-all approach.
Yep.
Which is fair.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Because different regions need different things
But there are
reasons.
Yeah.
There are certain interactions and infringements that should be a one-size-fits-all.
A universal.
Yeah.
Which is why we have a federal government.
Right. Because that's setting a standard that then the states can debate.
I feel like it's, as a libertarian, this bothers me so much. Why is Roe v. Wade one of the laws that said, hey, abortion is, something like 32 weeks or something, like non-viable?
Through the second trimester.
Right, okay, so,
20-something weeks.
That wasn't in the Constitution.
Nope.
And that's, states...
Neither are any car laws.
Right, fair enough. But the weird-ass part about all of this is that this is a federal, not law, but I guess you could say mandate for the interpretation of the Supreme Court at that time. Mm-hmm. To say that, okay, second trimester, that's what we're going to do, folks. So, start following that. And that's at the federal level, they didn't have any clout to tell states what to do. So, do you know how they were able to kind of get them to obey the states? They used the interstate commerce law. Because that between states, the federal government can now, that's part of the jurisdiction. And I find it to be I agree with the... I can't believe I'm saying this. I agree that abortion for Roe v. Wade grants a lot of protections to women. That makes a lot of sense. But to have the execution by interstate commerce law, this is lawyer weaseling at its prime,
And that is a slight issue I have, but if we rewrite the laws with... I guess it's not constitutionally... Roe v. Wade isn't enshrined in the Constitution.
No, it's just an interpretation of
It's just a
nine
precedent that
justices.
the justices have decided that this is the precedent we're going to set, and we're going to try to follow that as far as...
again...
But it can always be changed. It can be. Granted, judges typically follow precedent.
Yeah, and that the... 24 to 27 weeks is... They have to make a pretty convincing argument to buck the precedent. Yeah, which is why all of the 15-week and 12-week and all that have never stood a chance.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a little afraid when we say, okay, let's go ahead and make a clean slate of this, because it's obviously everything here is just wonky as shit. And I'm like, there's actually... There was some pretty good weaseling, really grade A lawyer weaseling that occurred to make people's lives better.
Right.
And then the question is well, then why don't we just add to the Constitution human autonomy, right? I have a right to my own body. Why are you telling me that?
Thoughts on that.
Do you think that 2/3 of the state would ratify that?
Well, this is a weird part.
I think bodily autonomy is should be held sacred, sacrosanct. It should be, even upon your death.
No, I don't. I disagree with
that.
You're wrong.
But we can have that conversation another time.
Correct. That is not true.
Part of a government's...
We can skip that, but we see
part
where I
of the
stand.
government's need and why it's a relevant institution to have when dealing with humans is it has to be the greater good for the most amount of people under its constituency.
Yeah, but I think it shouldn't be.
Sera, give up them kidneys. Come on, they're good and healthy.
It shouldn't be.
Give them up now.
No, I think it shouldn't be tyranny.
It
should not be tyranny over an individual. I agree that there are some things that absolutely should be sacrificed as, if you're going to live in a society, absolutely there are some things that by living in that society you kind of agree to tacitly abide by or sacrifice for. But I do think there's certain things that, I'm sorry, no, this is my body, my choice. I'm allowed.
And when you're alive.
And when it doesn't affect...
You're alive.
Yes.
No, and when it doesn't affect another person's ability to live their life, then I don't think there's an issue with choosing to do something.
I completely...
But no, I know where you're going with this. I can see your face. But I also don't think that you having to give, you don't owe anybody a piece of yourself.
It's not there's no debt. It is because of the privileges allotted to you by the country that allowed you to do the most you could in your life.
Sure
that
it did.
You are,
sure it did. Sure it did, but okay, go on. Let's assume that's true.
Hey, boulder of salt here.
Okay.
Also, magical Christmas land where
Yeah,
people
magical,
have bodily autonomy.
Yeah, let's magical Christmas land where I'm, not a woman and can make these. Yeah, all right, go on.
After death, if you have something else to give for your country that provided you as many opportunities, however many,
they have no right to my meat.
you're dead. It doesn't matter.
It's true that when I am dead, I don't have the ability to care anymore. But while I'm alive now, I would prefer my body not be disseminated amongst the populace. Like
hungry, ravenous wolves that just like, rah, 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 I'm taking this.
Just one of those scenes from some medieval thing where somebody chucks like a lamb into a crowd and just ripped apart.
No, to be
zombies.
To be like.
I don't know if that spectacle was there.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping that I never have to make that choice. I'm hoping that we'll be able to grow our own meat stuff in vats.
Well, we also
we can just
we eat so much fucking meat in this goddamn country. It's ridiculous.
No, I mean for
delicious.
replacement parts. I mean,
It's
sorry,
so
not meat eating. I'm talking about replacement parts.
Oh yeah, no, I was just trying to get us away from this because I don't want to have the same argument again.
Okay.
All right. Well,
anyway.
moving on.
Bodily autonomy would be fantastic, and that should be enshrined in our constitution.
Yep.
I think the fact that we
Because it works
Into it
both
after
ways. It works for vaxxing and against vaxxing. But if you have that bodily autonomy, can you impose mask mandates or impose vaccines? Would you be able to because everybody has the right to choose their own medical treatment?
I think if you're going into a service, or you are if you're going into a place of non-public, you're going into a store and they're asking you to wear a mask shop there. It's like the no shoes, no shirt, no service. It's that kind of thing. No mask, no service.
Won't you always be able to shop at Walmart?
Same thing, right? So it would be up to the individual businesses in this case to not necessarily enforce it, but to make those rules to shop here. You must, you must have this apparel on or something. So that to me is duh, of course. You have a right as a store owner to enforce this law. You have a right to ask your employees to do certain things to keep their job.
But would it be an infringement on the right of bodily autonomy to say, employees, you must be vaccinated? And they can bring up something enshrined in our Constitution saying they have bodily autonomy. And then that would be an infringement of their...
Yeah, but most
of
the Bill of Rights is...
I'm saying, this is still the magical Christmas land where it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
We really should... Okay, first of all, really should be, because it's not just about vaccines or abortions or the right to a peaceful death, right?
I feel though your own bodily autonomy for whether or not you want to bear a child or whether or not you want to be an organ donor isn't the same as getting vaccinated, because your choice not to get vaccinated potentially literally harming hundreds of people who are in your community.
So bodily autonomy
is
there unless it's public health requirement?
Yeah, I would say a public health requirement would be, but that's the same thing as fire in a movie. You have a freedom of speech up to a certain point, right? You have you have your bodily autonomy up to a certain point, and that's where it's finding out where that line is kind of what we're trying to decide, I think, which is hard. But I don't think in my mind, it's not that hard. I know where I would draw my line, but that's going to be different for different people, obviously. But I do think vaccines are different than abortion, for example. That's my body, my choice kind of thing. It's different.
Something very funny about that. Greg Abbott, the fabulous governor of...
Gonna outlaw rape. Just gonna magically make it stop.
No, he said something much dumber.
Oh.
In response to Biden's mandatory OSHA vaccination, where any company over 100 has to vaccinate or provide rapid testing at the company's cost, Abbott said, I will be fighting against this to the extent, and this I'm paraphrasing and or making some of it up, but the crux of it is, I will fight against this with every law because Texans have the right to choose what they do with their body.
Hilarious.
That's hilarious.
Because they don't.
They don't.
Men can.
Men can. Women. Well, yeah. People have the right to choose, but men.
Women are not really
But
people.
women are people.
They're host bodies.
They're
human factory machines
made
of meat. No, I think my biggest concern here is that I don't trust I don't know how to say this. This is so paradoxical. I think most people agree that they want to have some autonomy over the human body. It should be in the Constitution, right? There's a lot of other things that should be in the Constitution, like as an amendment, like public campaign for funding and stuff like this.
Yeah.
See Wolfpack, but that should ain't happening,
Also,
right?
Super PAC should be
Right,
illegal
like,
with a capital
This is
offense.
basically bribery of the system we have now based off a loose interpretation of the First Amendment of having a petition to see your governing body.
Phil, the corporations,
Our people.
institutions,
Our people.
that sole purpose is to make money and be as profitable as possible, with their human fuel providing as much work at as little pay as possible, are people too.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that money is free speech is part of a justice argument. Like the fact that Justice Alito had said, look, Alito, I mean.
Yeah, I was
he's-
like, which one?
Scalia, Alito.
Right.
If you don't like this, then make a law, baby. Like, just tell us that in the amendments that you can't have free money as free speech. Just say that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're not gonna do it because you're all just a bunch of wussies. So sorry, goodbye. Like our interpretation stands, and you lose. And he's right because what 2/3 of the state or 3/4 of all the states have to agree in some type of ratification. The fact that we can't even make laws in this country is an indicator that I don't fucking think anything is gonna work. So, like, let's say you want to make a clean slate. It's at this point, it's gonna be chaos because who's gonna make these laws if we can't even agree on the most basic things like let's pave roads? I just don't get it. Like, we're in a situation where everything is so like
This is why kings might not be the worst idea. Sorry, okay, never mind.
All right,
I'll see
I will be
myself.
throwing my hat in for the...
King Micah,
Yeah, well,
I didn't vote for you.
I prefer Viceroy, because I just think it sounds better.
Viceroy.
It
Plus,
doesn't.
also,
It
like,
doesn't.
Viceroy of Northeast America kind of has a nice ring to it.
I just want
Sounds super
whatever.
pretentious. Not even.
Yeah, I'm also going to invade Quebec.
Why?
I want Toronto to be my seat of government.
Why?
Sounds a very pretty city. I'm just going to have the seat of government be in the Rogers Center and still have the Blue Jays play there, because I think that'd just be hilarious. Just a session of Senate, or I guess my hand.
Wait,
The
did
small
this?
council.
I gotta ask. Did you say something about social media in your premise there?
Yeah,
What
yeah,
were we
yeah.
talking about?
No, that was the curveball, so I could strike you out with my ridiculous one that is impossible to discuss. Since we've come to the point where this is a horrible idea. It's obvious this is a horrible idea.
Yeah, it's a terrible idea. Sorry.
But it is obvious something needs to happen.
Yes, yeah,
Just
absolutely.
not this
So
particular.
it was a success. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
don't
that's
know
why
if it's
banning
obvious.
social media was.
Or we can just, watch.
Again, horse theft is still a capital offense in some states.
We can just watch the embers of our society burn. It's fine. It's
What? No,
It's
we're
such a pretty fire.
We're already watching the corpses rot. We're well beyond the embers giving us any bit of
Oh, I
heat
don't
or
think
comfort.
we're even. I don't think we're even. We aren't even.
Oh no, this
we're
shit
not even
has
on-
already hit the fan. We're all well coated.
I don't know.
A lot of us aren't acknowledging the stink.
I don't know.
So stay tuned next time. Well, we release this in the year 2022.
Yeah, something like that.
And you can see if our predictions are close to the mark.
As inaccurate as our previous ones
Many
have
of
been.
my predictions have been pretty inaccurate. So
If there's something we've learned,
Yes.
humans are terrible and like predictors of the future.
And please,
Especially
our one
Micah.
active listener, give comment. And to our Uzbeki listener, thank you.
Thank you.
We don't have an Uzbeki listener. They have better things to do. They're so
As
much
they
better
say
than we are.
In Uzbekistan, gracias.
Thanks,
Bye.
Mom.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom.